Have you ever seen a cat fall off a couch, twist through the air, and land perfectly on its feet like nothing happened? It looks almost like magic, but it isn't. There's real physics and biology behind it, and once you understand it, you'll never look at a falling cat the same way again. Think about this. If you dropped almost any other animal from a random position, it would probably hit the ground in whatever position it started in. A dog, a rabbit, even a human. We just fall. But cats seem to know exactly how to flip themselves around midair every single time. So what's actually going on inside that furry little body? Here's where it gets interesting. The secret starts in the cat's inner ear. Deep inside, there's a structure called the vestibular system. It's a tiny set of fluid-filled canals that constantly track balance, motion, and orientation. The moment a cat starts falling, this system instantly senses which way is up and which way is down. It happens almost instantly, faster than the cat could ever consciously think about it. But sensing which way is up is only half the problem. The other half is actually doing something about it while you're in free fall with nothing to push against. And this is the weird part. Cats solve this using something scientists call the righting reflex, and it depends on a piece of anatomy most animals simply don't have. A cat's spine is incredibly flexible, much more flexible than yours. Cats have around 30 vertebrae, more than most mammals, and the connective tissue between them allows for an extreme amount of twisting. On top of that, cats don't have a rigid collarbone locking their shoulders in place the way humans do. Their shoulder blades are only loosely attached by muscle, which means the front half of their body can rotate almost independently from the back half. So here's what actually happens when a cat falls. First, the head turns to align with the ground, guided by that inner ear balance system. Then, the front half of the spine twists to follow the head. For a brief moment, the back half of the body is still facing the original direction. Then, by tucking the front legs in, close to the body and extending the back legs outward, the cat changes how each half of its body resists rotation. This lets the back half catch up and twist into alignment too, without violating the laws of physics, because the total angular momentum of the whole cat actually stays at zero the entire time. Think of it like a figure skater pulling their arms in to spin faster, and then extending them to slow down. Except a cat does this with two ends of its own body at once, in less than a second, without even trying. But why does evolution bother building something this elaborate? The answer connects to how cats live. Cats evolved as skilled climbers, jumping between branches, walls, ledges, and rooftops. A fall from an unpredictable position was always a real risk. Any cat that could reliably reorient itself in midair had a serious survival advantage over one that couldn't. Over many generations, that reflex became built into their nervous system and skeleton. Now comes the surprising part. Landing on your feet does not automatically mean landing safely. The height of the fall still matters enormously. Veterinarians have documented something called high-rise syndrome, where cats fall from apartment buildings and sustain injuries. And here's a truly strange twist. Some studies from veterinary clinics have found that cats falling from very high floors sometimes show fewer severe injuries than cats falling from a medium height, not more. One proposed explanation is that once a cat rights itself and reaches a stable falling speed, it can relax its body and spread its legs outward like a tiny parachute, increasing air resistance and slightly softening the impact. This idea is called the flying squirrel posture. It's important to say that this pattern is not fully settled science, and researchers continue to study exactly why it happens. But the righting reflex itself, the flipping motion, is extremely well understood and well documented. Would you have guessed that a cat's ears play as big a role in this as its spine does? Here's the part most people don't know. Kittens actually develop this reflex gradually. Newborn kittens can't do it at all. The righting reflex usually starts appearing around 3 to 4 weeks of age and becomes fully developed by around 6 or 7 weeks. It has to be learned and refined through the nervous system as the kitten grows, even though the physical tools for it are already present in the body. And there's another detail that makes this even more remarkable. A cat doesn't need a huge amount of height to complete this maneuver. Because the reflex happens so quickly, cats can often successfully right themselves even from surprisingly short falls, sometimes from just a foot or two off the ground, as long as there's enough time for that spinal twist to happen. So the next time you see a cat tumble off a windowsill and land smoothly on the floor, remember what's really happening. In a fraction of a second, its inner ear detects which way is down, its flexible spine twists in two separate stages, its lack of a rigid collarbone allows its shoulders to rotate freely, and its whole body conserves angular momentum perfectly, all without a single conscious thought. It isn't magic. It's one of the most elegant pieces of biological engineering in the animal kingdom, built entirely for one simple, life-saving purpose, making sure a cat always comes back down the right way up.